work my question into your answers. What do you remember about the Unknown Blues? What sort of band were they?
Well, they were the best, you know, and that
Can you say the Unknown Blues?
The Unknown Blues were the best band in the South Island, or New Zealand, I reckon, at the time, and I'm probably biased, but no, they were good. They played music that we liked, and they played it well, and we loved them. They were good, top hole, you know.
Why do you think they were the best? What did you like about them?
I like the music they played. You know, they played good rhythm and blues, and they were good at it. You know, they weren't just wasn't the music they played it well.
Let's talk about the members a little bit individually. Let's start with Barry. We were talking about Barry before. Tell me, what sort of man is Barry Fitzgerald?
Barry Fitzgerald's one of a kind, and I was going to say they don't make them like that anymore, but they've never.
Sorry. Can I get you to start by saying the incident at Ida Valley, or however you like?
I want to go back down now, please. Well, Ida Valley, it's sort of.
It is something I want to talk to you about, and others.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
just give me an overview of what happened at Ida Valley, then we'll go back to the Unknown Blues.
Well, we went to Ida Valley and got drunk and got into trouble.
So
And
you're on your way to Timaru?
Yeah, we were. We were going to Timaru for New Year's Eve, and we got a bit liquored up and ended up in some pub, and a few of the locals come in, and we had a bit of.
Tell me about Ida Valley.
Yeah, the most infamous moment for the Angels probably was when we went to Ida Valley and we all got drunk and got into trouble and all got arrested except for one fellow. He kept a low profile and walked away in Alexandra and went back the next day, and they said to him, "Where were you?" And he said, "I was there, I just got off the truck and walked away." And they said, "Well, it's a good thing you did, because otherwise you would have been arrested." So, but the rest of us all got charged with assault and drunk and disorderly and
So how many people ended up in prison, and what happened to you?
Well, we all ended up locked up. 7 of us out of the 8 all got locked up at the time, and three of us got 3 people, not me, but 3 guys got longer jail terms when it went to court, and the rest of us got fines.
And who was the fight with? How did it happen?
I was with the locals. We went to the pub. We were getting pretty drunk, to be fair, and it all started with one guy pinched one of the farmers' hats, and he didn't appreciate it, and from there it deteriorated quite dramatically. And we went outside and had a bit of a stoush, and that sort of came out okay. We did all right in that in the first one, and then went back and had a few more beers, and next thing the cops were there, and all hell broke loose. So we all got run in, and except for one fellow who kept the low profile, and he walked away from it.
And what happened to you?
I ended up in the hospital with concussion because I got smacked over a bit by the big baton. But it's the breaks. But I spent two nights in there, and then I was taken to Alexandra and shipped through to Dunedin and appeared in court there in early January.
And did that make you rethink being part of a gang?
No, it had nothing to do with it. No, it was just part of the way it was. I mean, we were a bit unlucky in a way. It wasn't no real big deal. It was a lot more made of it than I felt it really was.
Because it made the papers, didn't it?
Yeah, it made the 6 o'clock news or something. Or someone told me. I never actually seen it, but I heard it did.
Okay. All right. Barry Fitzgerald. Tell me about Barry Fitzgerald.
Barry's, as I was going to say, Barry's unique. They never they don't make them like that anymore, but I don't think they ever did before either. He's just a very special guy. He's a great boy. He's a good friend of mine.
How is he unique? What's unique about him?
Well, I've never known a person in my life that's as single-minded about things as Barry is. And he makes no apology for it, and I admire him for that.
And what's he like as a musician? You were saying before about how he underrates himself as a guitarist. Well,
just on what I've been told by other musicians, because I'm no musician myself, so I like music, but I can't play. But I've talked to a few people that have played with Barry, and they all claim that he's a far better musician than he actually thinks he is. And I believe that to be true.
And you were saying Barry was a pretty hard man in his younger days. Can I get that from you again, please?
Yes, Barry was He was one of the toughest men I've ever met. Like physically tough. I'm not saying he was the greatest fighter in the world, but he was tough. And that stood by him in a lot of his life, because he had to be, because he never took a backward step that I can remember.
Okay, and obviously you liked to drink back in the day, and has been sober for many years, but probably quite different person when he was drinking, huh?
Yes and no. He just became probably a tinge of belligerent when he got a few in, if he was in that frame of mind, but he was still Barry, because he still had he was probably even more singular when he got drunk, and how he felt about things. It came out even more so, I felt. But I never had any problems with him. I always got on good with him. He was just probably got more, as I said, more Barry than Barry when he had a few drinks.
Okay, and Dave Hogan, what do you remember about Dave?
Dave's a real good fella. A different kettle of fish to Barry, but a really nice bloke. And he's a good musician, top man on the harmonica, very good, and a real nice fella, Dave. Real amicable. You could say, put it this way, if you didn't know them, you went up and had a yarn to Dave, you'd be more likely to walk away without a flea in your ear than you would have been if you had a yarn to Barry.
Okay, and Vaughan Mackay, another interesting character. Sum up Vaughan, especially Vaughan in the 1960s. What sort of man? Vaughan
probably in some ways was the total opposite to Barry. Vaughan would have a go at anything and do anything, and he was a good guitarist. Probably better than a lot of people thought too. But he was a larrikin, but he was he'd have a go at anything. He was just out there, Vaughan, I felt.
And popular with the ladies, I understand.
Yeah, but I don't know why. And he was, yeah, he was. But as I said,
can I get you to say
he was popular with the ladies, but I don't know why. But only he knows that, but he was, Vaughan was. He was a larrikin.
Can you give me any examples of how he was a larrikin? What do you remember?
Oh, I could, but I probably couldn't really repeat them, to be honest.
Anything that's repeatable?
Not really, no. Not really, no.
Oh, I'm intrigued. Okay. Rocket Hancock, did you know him much?
Yeah, knew Rocket all right, yeah.
Tell me about Rocket.
Well, Rocket was sort of got the job because he had long hair, I think, they've probably heard that story, but he used to keep the beat all right, and Rocket was he was another guy that, he's a bit in the Vaughan mould. He'd try anything once, probably twice most of the time. He was a hard man.
What do you mean by a hard man? You were talking
like... well, not hard man in the physical sense. He was he was a hard case. He would, there was nothing was sacred to Rocket. He would have a go at anything.
And Wombi Mason?
Well, probably knew Wombi least of the five, but I still knew him. Yeah, but Wombi he was a good bloke too. He was a good drummer, but I didn't know Wombi as well as the others. But I knew him well enough, and I got on good with him, and he was a good bloke.
I'm kind of interested.
Sure, I honestly can't remember for sure, but I've got a funny feeling I did. But I was that drunk, I can't quite remember if I did or not.
Can you tell me? Can you tell me that, please, about how you think you might have? And that was the sort of thing.
Yeah, well, I heard that they're talking about riding bikes into the gigs. Now I think if it was done, I think I might have even did it myself once, but I was that drunk I can't really remember whether I did it or not. Someone told me the next day I did, but I'm not sure, so I couldn't confirm or deny, as they say. But I remember getting up on stage with them one night when I was 99% out of it, and I think Roy had got up with them a couple of times too that I'd heard of. So, but that was just par for the course, It was all on for young and old, and especially. Toward the end of they were later on, and before they finished up, when they were just doing it for the fun, which they probably always did, but we had some fun. You know, got it mixed up.
Okay.